And then Mr. Ibarra, they're going to bring up another defendant who will magically appear right behind you if you're over here, if that's okay with you.
Let's go.
If you feel comfortable with that, they're going to bring up another defendant from the jail, so they'll appear right behind you if you're okay sitting there. Okay.
My
So I'm going
boy.
to take up with your case. This is the state of Washington versus Lewis Ibarra, cause number 24-1-332-33. We are set on for status and for Mr. Ibarra's motion to dismiss, correct?
That's correct.
Now, as far as status, I just want to make sure I am looking at the latest and greatest dates. I'm looking from an October 22nd, 2024 order on arraignment that we have our trial date of January 15th and our expiration of January 20th. Those are the most current dates?
That's what I heard.
Okay. Now, I have the motion to dismiss, and I have I think, statement of fact, an amended statement of fact that goes with that motion, and I have the state's opposition to the motion, and I have a reply to the state's opposition to the motion to dismiss. Is that everything you think I should have?
Yes.
And did you have anything else that I should be considering, Mr. Christensen, or do I have everything?
That's everything around.
Okay. And so, Mr. Ibarra, do you want to make a brief argument on your motion for the record?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Well, I'll just like it was just so crazy to just see my constitutionally protected rights violated as I was just on private property, just putting gas in my truck, and
Okay, so I am going to, I know you're representing yourself and you're proceeding pro se, but just for the record, I do want to advise you and give you the caution that you do have the right to remain silent and that anything you say can and will be used against you. And you don't have to say anything.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
but if you want to make an argument on your motion, and I know you're representing yourself, so go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah. So well, one of the main rights that were violated was pretty much the officer coming up to me when there was no verified complaint. Uh, there was no third party call saying that I've hurt somebody or damaged property or did any type of wrong to anybody, and they just came up to me and started harassing me. They didn't just do that, but they were prejudiced against me. They labeled me a constitutionalist, and like just to see that with my family, you know, like it's just so messed up, like to be a part of this and just see how the cops violated my rights.
All right, so
Just well, I'm not done. Yeah, they labeled me a constitutionalist. They did police misconduct. They harassed me. That they did an overreach of police power. They took my private property, my personal private property, without due process. They pretty much treated me as if I was guilty before proven innocent, and they completely um, overstepped their boundaries and went against my constitutional protected rights. They also, the loss of property that was my only form of travel for my family and I. Mm, them taking my flatbed trailer, it has caused a lot of harm. That's what I actually use, so I can pick up wood during the winter for my family to keep us warm. So because of that, we had to move somewhere that we can actually like stay warm, and that it's just they're just so messed up to be a part of this when There was no crime being committed. And just for my children, to see their dad taken, it affected them in a big way. And just for standing up for my rights. Yeah, I don't know how else to put it, but they did all these things, and on top of it, I was on private property. They had no reason or probable cause or even a crime, involving an injured party or damaged property, for them to come up to me in such a way and try to ask me for ID, and then they threatened me on top of that. They said that if I didn't ID, that they would threaten me with arrest. And I told them, like, that goes against the Fourth Amendment. You can't do that. And they did it either way. I told them that this was a violation of Title 18, 242, deprivation of rights under color of law. Like, I told them, like, they even tried to conspire against me, and I have it all on their body cam footage. These are the direct words that came out of their mouth. Like, oh, I would love to see him go to jail. For what? I didn't do anything wrong. And they violated my Fifth Amendment of right to due process. Taking my property without due process, that's wrong. There's also this, it's in 56 American Jurisprudence, second edition, municipal court. It's section 396. It says, but unless or until harm or damage, which is a crime, is committed, there is no cause for interference in the private affairs or actions of a citizen. They interfered with my private actions when I did nothing wrong. I thought we still had rights.
Yeah.
But just seeing the police misconduct here and the harm that the cat caused me and my family. I had to use ministry money to take out my property, ministry money that I use to help others. I would never think to cause harm to anybody. I thought, these cops, they went against the supremacy clause as well. Like, they were saying that their statutes were higher than Constitution when they take an oath to uphold the Constitution.
That's right.
Why are they putting it above?
That's right.
Why are they putting their statutes above federal law? Like, we had people shed blood for the rights that we have.
Tell it, Luis. Oh, Patriot, bro.
It's even in your, like, they even gave me a warrant, or they pulled the warrant out falsely just to go into my car and my truck without probable cause. They had no right to get to any of my cars and to even take them. In the beginning, they were already going to let me go, but this other officer decided to conspire against me when you can see it on his cam that he thought that he muted his cam, and then that's when the conspiring started.
Okay, but that's not before me on your motion to
I know, but it's
dismiss.
still a
You're,
big
you're
point.
not challenging the search
Oh, I
warrant.
know, but it's just still a big point to bring up because just to see the police misconduct that was done in the violation of my rights. And the main point that, yes, it's on the motion is that there was no victim, there was no crime being committed for them to do this type of stuff to me. I was just gonna see if I would be able to read the motion to strike and dismiss just to put it on record.
It's on record. It's in the court file.
Would I be able to speak it though? Like just read through
I
it?
don't need you to read it into the record. It's part of the record. You've filed it in the court file. And so all we're doing right now is I'm hearing arguments, if you're going to make arguments on what you've
Yeah,
filed.
okay.
So I don't need you to go off onto your search warrant challenge. It's not properly before the court. I can't hear it even if you raise it because you don't have that properly before the court. This is your motion to dismiss. You have your reasons for that motion and your support for that already in the court file. You don't
Yeah.
need to read it.
Okay, yeah, because a lot of this stuff is actually part of my.
Hey, how do y'all feel? How do y'all feel he's doing? Y'all tell me in the chat. How do you feel he's doing, y'all? Talk to me now.
Now bring these type of things up because I was. Like there was no corporate select. So they had no reason to come up to me and ask me for anything. I told them that from the beginning, that unless there's been a crime being committed involving an injured party or harm to anybody, then there's no reason for you to speak to me. And they completely blew that off, and just labeled me a constitutionalist, which was really heartbreaking to see these officers do such a thing just because just because they think that they have the power to, when they're the lowest in the law. Like they're down at the city level, like this first God, and then man, and then federal corporation, I mean the feds, and then it goes down all the way down to the city, and they're down at the bottom of the city. They're there to serve and protect us, not to violate us. you know and that's exactly what happened. Like they were violating me, and they were prejudiced against me as well. But just because I didn't want to give up my information, which I have a right to, under the Fourth Amendment, that I have the right to not give up any information, in privacy, as part of my privacy, to not, give any of that to them, and they definitely did unlawful searches and seizures, against me by even going into any of my cars, or even asking me for my ID when I told them that I wouldn't give it. And once they threatened me with arrest, then I told them that that it's only under duress that I would give my information, even though there was no harm being done to anybody. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got
Okay.
about what
Thank you.
was going on.
Thank you, Mr. Ibarra. Mr. Christensen?
Thank you, Your Honor. The state objects to the defendant's motion to dismiss on a number of grounds. Nominally is that he's cited a whole bunch of alleged authorities that simply don't apply in the state of Washington pursuant to Criminal Rule 1.1. Superior Court criminal rules govern courts of general jurisdiction in the state, as well as the common law, decisional law of this state, not of various other jurisdictions that he cites. There's law in here from other states, as well as the Uniform Commercial Code, which has no application to a criminal prosecution. The bottom line is, Judge, I won't go through and rehash my brief here, but the defendant was originally contacted by the police when they noticed that he was driving a truck with a trailer with no license plate. He was found to have a fictitious license plate. It's basically a forgery on the back of his truck. That's the basis for the forgery count. That's part of Detective Feldner's affidavit that was submitted with the court. The court commissioner did find probable cause for that count. With regard to the resisting and obstructing officers count, that was for the refusal to identify himself. And there's also no evidence that he transferred title to the vehicle. He did show the officers a bill of sale eventually that looked to be fictitious as well. So I'm not seeing a basis anywhere in his motion, as well as the voluminous other filings that went along with it, to actually dismiss this case. It has shown probable cause at this point, and none of the other sources of law that he has cited here actually have an application at the stage process. So I would ask the court to dismiss, or rather to deny his motion to strike and or dismiss the information.
Can I object to any of that?
You get the final word because it is your motion.
Yeah. Yeah, so the whole thing about the fictitious plate, which is a fraudulent charge in itself, because there was no intent to defraud or injure anybody. This was my own private plate, which I have the right to have. And them saying that my paperwork, which is not a bill of sale, like it's just it's an affidavit of consumer goods, just proving that my car and my truck, they're all privately private and personal goods for myself and my family, is use. So there was nothing fraudulent or fictitious about it. They can't even prove that I had any intent to defraud or injure, which would fall under forgery. My plate looks nothing like a Washington state plate. Even on the bottom, it has, Title 18-242. There's no plate that I've ever seen that has that. And on top of that, all I did was just state where I lived, which just says, in the state of Washington, and then it had 0777 Yall, which is the name of the Father in heaven. So that there was no fraudulent intent at all whatsoever. There's multiple witnesses that I can bring up that would tell you the same, that I would never intend to defraud anybody. That would go against my religious beliefs. And the case law, there's Supreme Court case laws that do apply. Supreme Court case law, just like I was telling you guys, so the supremacy clause, it straight up says that the U.S. Constitution over the state. This means that if there's a direct conflict between federal law and state law, federal law prevails. And I was using a lot of federal law and constitutional case law that was straight up upheld, in Supreme Courts, which is the highest court. They have the final say, and we have the right to use these things. For them to just say that I can't use these things, is wrong in itself, because we all have the right to show these case laws that are in our favor, showing that we're not wrong, as long as we don't hurt nobody or cause damage property to anybody. And I have no contract with the state. Like any contracts that I made in the past, they're null and void.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ibarra. And Mr. Ibarra, you subscribe to a different theory than the ones that are recognized by this court. That's perfectly fine, but often it might land you in exactly the position you find yourself. And so with your basis for your motion, we can go through them one at a time, where you have your motion to strike and dismiss. Objection for lack of ratification of commencement. You say there is no claim. Under federal rules of civil procedure. And then your second one, there is no corpus delicti. And your third, there is no plaintiff. Well, there is, and you're wrong on all three. The state of Washington is the plaintiff. I know you disagree with that, but that's what I'm saying. You're subscribing to a different theory than what's recognized by this court.
I'm just asking.
And the lack of evidence that the defendant was operating a vessel in commerce, the lack of evidence alleged defendant was violating the private statute. These are theories that are not recognized by this court. You have, the state has, there's been a finding of probable cause that you violated the law.
What law?
And those Those are the charges that are pending against you. There's been a finding of probable cause. That's sufficient for the case to move forward.
Without an injured party.
I'm not going to debate you.
Yeah, I'm just
I'm
asking.
telling you that there's been a finding of probable cause. That's what's required. A court of law has already found that probable cause for the crimes that you've been charged. So you're trying to get it dismissed because the state has not got a prima facie case. Probable cause is more than prima facie. So there is a case, and you don't have a basis for me to dismiss it in your motion.
Okay, in your motion.
So
In your
I have
motion.
to deny your motion to dismiss.
That's
because
fine.
You've not provided me with a basis
That's fine.
to dismiss it.
That's fine.
Which
That's
is the
fine,
fact
Luis.
that, they have no intent, no, that, you know, that the whole forgery thing was, there is no intent to,
So they don't have to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt today. They have to prove that at trial.
yeah, well, just the corpus delicti, like, you know, just the.
My only thing is he's arguing with the judge too much. He needs to just say yes, ma'am, and go file another motion if he needs to file a motion.
More than just your say so, and there is.
Yeah, but look at, like, this is what you guys, like,
I'm not here to argue with
and I'm
you,
not
Mr.
arguing, I'm
Ibarra.
not trying to argue. I'm just gonna, you know, just like how I told you guys that the American jurisprudence, you know, which is what you guys go by as well, you know, straight up states that unless or until harm or damage, which is a crime, is committed, there is no cause for interference with the private affairs or actions. You know, so like this is straight up what you guys go by. You got this how you know jurisprudence means, you know, knowledge of law. You know, so you guys go by this. Lawyers and attorneys and courts go by this stuff. So for him to be saying that none of this stuff applies, like it does, you know, like I'm not going against you guys. I'm just going by what the law states, and statutes and acts are all color of law. They're not law, they're statutes. You know, that's why they call statutes not law. You know, and the Constitution is there for us, you know, to protect, you know, an overreach of the government. You know, and this is exactly what the state is doing. They're doing an overreach of their powers.
And Mr. Ibarra, you're entitled to your opinion, but I'm denying your motion to dismiss. You've not provided me a basis by which I can grant it. And
She's
so
giving him remedy right there. She's telling him.
have you prepare an order as the prevailing party that denies the defendant's motion to dismiss. We're here for status as well. We have a trial date in January. Wanting to come back for another status before your trial date, Mr. Ibarra? You have a trial date currently set for January 15th.
Would I be able to extend it at all?
If you're asking for a continuance of the trial date to a future date,
Yes.
okay, and how much further in the future?
Would I be able to do it like a month in advance?
Into
a month.
February?
Yes.
So our February trial calendar, we have February 12th, 19th, and 26th.
Yeah, the 19th would be fine.
Any objection to continuing the trial to February 19th, Mr. Christensen?
No objection, Your Honor. Are we able to hard set it at this time?
If you wish, you might be bumped if by an in custody, but if you want to hard set it, you would be a first set at this point.
What a fucking
likely be
loser, bro.
bumped. Go.
What a loser Mr. Christensen is to continue on the illegal prosecution. Man, yo, bro.
All right, so there's no objection from the state, so I can continue the trial date from January 15th to February 19th. That would change the speedy trial expiration date to 30 days beyond the 19th. That would get us to the 21st of March because there are 28 days in February. So that would be a Friday. Do you agree that's the expiration? That's 31.
No, she gave him action. She told him what he needs to do, okay? She told him, I cannot grant your motion based on the information that you have given me today in your strike or dismiss. See, what ends up happening Okay. She's pretty much just saying, hey, give me the right reasons on why I need to get this dropped, and I'm going to get it dropped. I can't grant a motion based on what you've given me today because it's not based on what you're essentially telling me in the first place. He's going to go back, he's going to reformulate that, and he can file another motion. So he's going to submit another motion to the court. They're going to look at it and review it. You got the court record. They're going to look at the minutes. He got action. He's still got action, y'all.
That'd be the 13th.
Oh, the 13th, yes, the 13th of January. January. Trial is in February, February 19th. How about January 13th? Would that work? That doesn't work, she says no. How about the 27th of January?
Yeah, that works.
That works. January 27th for another status. And that would be the date that you just check again to make sure you're ready to go to trial on the February 19th date.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Also put down that we'll do omnibus on the 27th.
The what?
Also put down that we can do omnibus on the 27th.
Oh, omnibus?
Yeah, because that hasn't been done yet.
Omnibus is the discovery order. And you need to do that before your trial.
Yeah, again.
So as you can see, they're trying to railroad my boy. They don't want to grant what he's submitted thus far. He's got another hearing set here pretty soon. He's gonna go home, reformulate. I know he is. He's doing this all himself. It's my boy. And I mean, I don't know him personally, but I know him through this situation, and I care for him deeply and his family due to the fact of what I've seen happen to them. I think it's horrible what happened to them. Yeah, all he's got to do is go back, reformulate his motions, bring up those points again, actually have them supported in the motion, because he didn't have anything in relation to his Fourth Amendment's rights being violated by just being private and then being forced to give up his ID whatsoever, thus being on private property without a verified complaint or harm being brought to another. And then just the aspect that the state cannot prove. They're going to try and scare him in tactic. You always know how it goes. You wait till you get there on trial, and on the trial date, they drop it. You know how many times I've had that happen in my life? More than I can count on my fingers, I promise you, bro. And
There's no basis in the motion on which I can grant the motion to dismiss.
you hear her? She just said it again. There's no basis that he's provided in the motion in which I can grant the motion. She's asking for it again. Put in the right stuff in the right motion. We got you, bro. So he's got action. She has said it about 4 times now. He's got action. He's going to be all right.
I think we don't have any prior continuances of trial. Because our only order was the order on arraignment. And I'm going to put, let's say here. Okay. Mr. Ibarra, we're going to give you a copy of your order continuing your trial date, so you have all of your next court dates.
Thank you. Thank you.
Y'all got to remember, this is the first go-round. You always have aspects of appeal, okay? Mr. Christensen ain't going to take this all the way. And if anything, this should show you between now and then what we should be doing as the public to look out for such a good person. Yo, this is literally, I am not a Christian, bro, okay? And that's okay, I don't have to be. But this dude's a good person, bro. This dude's a good person. He don't deserve this.
Oh, there's Mr. Reno. I didn't see you sitting there. I thought I lost you. Okay. All right.
Remember, I told y'all when this is done, y'all go comment. Y'all go comment and tell Luis how much y'all love him and how proud y'all are of him. If you have any suggestions for him, give him your own opinion and your own suggestions. Y'all have to remember, we are
Thank
collectively
you, Mr.
working
Ibarra.
together.
Sorry it was such a long day, but your children were so well behaved.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience. Ms. Largen.
All right, y'all. So, with that being said,
Versus Nicole Largen, cause number 24-1-.
how do I get up out of here? Shut up. Shut up. So, as you see, my boy Luis ain't giving up. He's standing on it. We got to be here for Luis, y'all. We really got to be here for Luis. Let me see. If I don't put this down, I'm going to lag out. I know I am. We got to be here for Luis. It's very important that we do so. He needs our support to call in and really do whatever we can to Mr. Christensen or whatever the case may be to make sure that, you know, they do the right thing here. This is ridiculous. As far as us, the state, the public of Washington, we definitely don't want to see somebody being harassed when we know they shouldn't be. Everybody has the right to be private. You have the right to be private. I have the right to be private. Every single person has a right to be private without being harassed. Period. If I'm at a gas station with my car parked and I ain't got, and it ain't running and I ain't in it driving it, you don't have any, you just can't talk to me. If I say I don't want to talk and then you keep on, and you're like, if you don't give us your ID, you're going under arrest. Bro, Luis has got all action. He just got to put it in the right motion and word it the right way. So, yeah, y'all stay tuned. I hope y'all like that video that I put out showing y'all the proof of how I'm doing it in court. And, hey, I got to go answer some comments now because I'm not the guy that's going to leave y'all stuck without answering comments. If you haven't noticed, I answer every comment. It's because I love you and care for you, okay? I'll see y'all in the next one, y'all. Peace and blessings. All parents inheriting the people. That's you and I.